Fulanis in Nigeria do not want to coexist with other ethnic groups of Nigeria. They want to dominate, and ultimately they will try, but they will fail.
Anywhere you say a Fulani man, people see them as killers. But it's not true. There is no society that there is no back X.
On space.com, we are still unraveling your everyday Fulani. Welcome. The Fulani people, with their rich heritage, vast networks, and enduring nomadic spirit, remain one of the most influential and culturally significant ethnic groups in West Africa. It is essential to distinguish between the actions of a few and the culture of an entire people. Let's look at the Fulani's economic contributions. The Fulani are central to Nigeria's livestock economy. They supply milk, meat, hides, and other animal products. Many also participate in local markets, trade, and agricultural production. Fulani women often process dairy products like nono, fermented milk, and wara cheese for sale. Let's look at art, language, and fashion. Language, they speak Fulfulde, although most are bilingual or multilingual. Art, their art includes body markings, jewelry, and embroidery. Clothing, they are known for their flowing robes, turbans, and in some regions, distinctive beaded adornments. Fulani in the future. There is a growing number of educated Fulani youth entering professions in medicine, law, media, and government. Initiatives around peace building, modernization of herding practices, and inter-ethnic dialogue are helping shape a better narrative. Today, many Fulani traditions are still being preserved, from their flowing robes and intricate hairstyles to the Sharo Festival of Courage and the storytelling that surpasses history from one generation to the next. Fulfulde, their language, is also being sustained through literacy programs. The Fulani story reminds us that culture doesn't disappear with time. It adapts, survives, and thrives in new ways.
Well, culture, as we are told, is the totality of a people's way of life. And people strive to preserve their culture, which is wonderful. But every culture gets diluted or gets come under assault from interaction with other cultures. So no cultures remain the same indefinitely. And moreover, culture is dynamic, it evolves. So like the Igbo culture evolved over the years. I mean, one very powerful influence on Igbo culture was Christianity, and then of course modernity, and then of course urbanization. So the Fulanis can try as much as possible to preserve their culture, but that will be within limits, because your culture is being influenced by the changing world. The world is changing continually. Before, Fulanis were mostly herders. They are mostly itinerant religious scholars and preachers. But now you have a lot of them that have settled. The MIs are Fulanis, and they live in palaces, they live in cities. They are no longer itinerant herders. So they can do their best to preserve their culture. Because of this, our problem of egocentric predicament, we believe that everything that is of us must be the best. Therefore, we want to preserve what we have. Be it our culture, be it our language, but they can preserve their culture within certain limits because it's been influenced by interaction with other ethnic groups, other races, and as the world gets smaller, The world finally became a global village. Your culture is shaped, influenced by other cultures of the world. So I have no specific theory on that. But let them do their best, but also be conscious of the fact that cultures evolve and their culture will evolve in line with the insinuating social factors,
How can the Fulanese engage with other ethnic and community leaders to foster peaceful coexistence?
Fulanis in Nigeria do not want to coexist with other ethnic groups of Nigeria. They want to dominate the other ethnic groups of Nigeria. They made an inroad into Nigeria as conquerors. So they built an empire, with the Fulanis being the aristocrats, the ultimate aristocrats of this empire. And they lorded it over their subjects, the people they conquered in northern Nigeria. And I think they want not only to retain that social structure, they even want to extend their influence beyond the north and possibly all over Nigeria. There was this thing about dipping the Quran in the Atlantic, extend their religion, their influence, their power, even to the ends of Nigeria, to the Atlantic Ocean. So I don't think they want any coexistence. They want domination. They want control. I'm not saying they cannot. I'm talking about the way things are as of today. They don't want coexistence. But they will ultimately come to that reality that they must coexist with other Nigerians, or they will get into serious trouble. There are a lot of pies in the sky. There are a lot of building of castles in the sky. We see one of them called IPOB. We want Biafra. But like I keep saying, Biafranism is suicidal lunacy. There can be no Biafra. No ethnic group of Nigeria can unilaterally secede from Nigeria until Nigerians as a whole decide we're tired of this union. Let's go our separate ways. Until that happens, any attempt at breaking away by any ethnic group unilaterally is a waste of time, is monumental hoax. The same thing with Fulani expansionism. It's impossible that the Fulanis will ultimately dominate Nigeria, subjugate all the other ethnic groups. It's not doable. But they can build their castles in the air. They dream all they want. They will try, but they will fail, and ultimately they will realize that the whole design, the whole attempt was something of delusional nonsense.
In 2021, while addressing a forum in Kogi State, Nigeria's North Central, former Publicity Secretary Arewa Consultative Forum, late Emmanuel Yahweh, said leaders should stop creating tension about the Fulanese.
I was dumbfounded when I heard one governor say some Fulani men, 15 of them, ambushed him and were chasing him and firing at him. And he has security. And the security man didn't fire back. Neither did they report. The policeman, as supposed, the governor himself goes about with security. If something like that happens to him, the policeman and his envoy should report to the commissioner of police immediately. Or the army men who follow him should report to the army commander. No such report came. He said he ran for 1.5 days. And no bullet hit him. But he blamed the Fulani. So we are not helping ourselves when we create, as leaders, create such tension. That's why it is very important leaders like the governor. I've never heard it of all the media reports I've seen about. I've never heard him making such an outrageous claim.
Now, King of the Lagos Fulanese, Mohammed Bambado, says people shouldn't see the average Fulani man as a killer.
Anywhere you say a Fulani man, people see them as killers. But it's not true. A Fulani man is a wonderful person. He accommodates. He likes his people. He likes his neighbors. He interacts. You know, he's a very social person, a Fulani man. But you know what? There is no society that there's no bad eggs.
As we move on in unraveling your everyday Fulani, let's see some prominent Fulani leaders in Nigeria. Let's look at public perception and media. Too often, the Fulani people are spoken about in the text of conflict, but the Fulanis are far more than a single story. Media platforms play a powerful role in shaping public perception. Coverage of Fulani people often focuses on conflict, overlooking their rich culture, rich history, and contributions. To promote a more balanced understanding, media houses should highlight the diverse identities within the Fulani community. Pastoralists, traders, scholars, artists, and leaders, rather reducing them to stereotypes.
The media is underreporting Fulani violence in Nigeria, the banditry, the Fulani headsmen murderous binge across Nigeria. And well, let me not talk about Boko Haram. That's not strictly a Fulani movement. But the media is underreporting it. The media is very limited. We are the fourth, what do they call themselves? The fourth estate, the watchdog of the country, whatever. It's not true. Because the media is controlled by one, big businesses The media live off of commercials, advertisements. And who runs commercials? Who runs advertisement? The big businesses, the big corporations. The big corporations do not like radical politics because the big corporation wanted that whatever happens will remain in business. So they don't want radicalism in journalism. Therefore, will not fund radicalism in journalism. But the money of the journalists, of the press, come from the big corporations and sometimes from the government. So these are people that want to retain the status quo. So we are this, we are that. The press is not anything until the press can have a financial independence. Is subject to the whims and caprices of the powers that be and the big businesses. And since the powers that be, especially since the presidency of Mohamed Buhari, want to understate the atrocities the Fulanis are committing across the country, the press has been understating their violence across the country. The Fulani, well, let me not digress. So the media has not done much, has not done enough to dramatize the murderous, the unhinged murderousness of Fulani expansionism in Nigeria.
In the area of livelihood and challenges, traditionally the Fulanis are known for cattle rearing and nomadic lifestyles. Has this changed over time?
Of course, it has changed in many parts of Africa, especially West Africa. Now you have Fulanis being politicians, generals in the army, presidents of countries. The change is obvious in Nigeria because you now have Fulanis, now you have some Fulani Christians. Before, Fulanis were almost all Muslims. I have some Fulani Christians. I have some of them dwelling in cities, some of them being professors, lecturers, and politicians, and all that. So it changed over the years. Cultures will always change. Cultures do not remain static. Cultures evolve, yes. They've changed over the years and they'll continue to change. President Buhari was a Fulani, but he wasn't rearing cattle. He wasn't an itinerant herdsman, you know. Yeah, he was a soldier, lived in his village, lived in the city, and finally lived in Aso Rock.
And how is the community responding to the changing agricultural and environmental landscape?
They are not adapting. If one thing we have to realize is that way back during the colonial era, the colonial government mapped out grazing routes for the Fulanis or for the headers, be them Fulanis or be them wherever. All the way from Sokoto, Maiduguri to Port Harcourt to Calabar was all mapped out. But over time, with urbanization and population growth, some of this grazing route became cities, and farmers expanded because of population growth into some of the grazing routes. So naturally, there had to be conflict between farmers and herders. Sometimes you see Fulanis stray into an airport, into a university. It might be deliberate sometimes, but it might also be that they were following the originally mapped out grazing route that has now been occupied by a university or an airport. So there's a need to rearrange the whole setup. Things need to change. There is inherent conflict between the Fulanis and the farmers. Fulanis with their cattle will pass through, and sometimes you trample on people's farmland, eat up their food, spoil their crops. That has always happened. It will always happen. But in the past, they will fight. Some of these conflicts will lead to fight. They fight with clubs and knives. So somebody might get bludgeoned to the head, somebody a cut in the hand, and one person might die. But with the Buhari administration, Buhari was a Fulani irredentist. Buhari was a narrow-minded Muslim that was into Islamic expansionism. He did not hide it. He once said that he wished the Sharia court will be proclaimed all over Nigeria. So Buhari emboldened and empowered Fulani headsmen. So instead of using knives and bludgeons, they got AK-47s. And instead of respecting the sensibilities of the farmers, they are passing through their land. They became arrogant. They became indifferent to the farmers, like nothing will happen. The Nigerian parlance, do you know me? I can do this and nothing will happen. So that became a factor that made an inroad into the attitude of the Fulanis. And now when they fight with AK-47. So they massacre people, kill 30, kill 50. So it's government policy that changed the dynamics. And it's government policy that will reverse it. Fulani's attitude towards farmers, I would say it's marked by arrogance. It's marked by insensitivity. It's marked by the mindset, culture of impunity. I can kill, I can loot, I can rape, I can burn, I can destroy people's farms and nothing will happen.
The Fulanese have traditional leaders such as the emirs in the north and sarakins in other regions who play a vital role in conflict resolution, cultural preservation, and community development. So how can the government and the communities work together to foster peaceful coexistence?
Like I've said time and time again, the masses do not think. The masses follow, and they follow blindly. Just like children, without knowing it, behave like their parents. The masses, without knowing it, behave like their leaders. So it's all about a question of leadership. I'll give you an example. After the 2015 election, Goodluck Jonathan's supporters were ready for anything. Even many within his administration were ready to say, no, we don't accept this election, we'll fight. But it just took one man, a statement by one man, shaped the country. He said, I concede defeat. I lost the election. I have congratulated the president. And all his supporters backed down. They calmed down. What if he had said, I reject this election. It was rigged. It was not credible. It was not fair. I will fight this election with my last blood. His supporters will be on the street fighting. Just one man, his word. People will be fighting, killing, maiming for something they don't even understand, for something they have no personal claim to. That's where the masses think. So Fulanis became emboldened and can now throw their weight about. Now feel they can do anything without any consequence because a leader made it so. A leader encouraged them by his body language, by his attitude, by his words. So leadership can change everything around. There's so much the president can do in this respect. But more importantly, Fulani leaders, the Emir of the Sultan of Sokoto, the emirs and the religious leaders, Islamic leaders. So if they resolve to live in peace with other Nigerians, it can feel that mindset can filter down to their followers. So the government should do something about it. On the short run, protect the innocent people that are being massacred routinely, protect the communities that are being destroyed continually. They can do that with the help of the police and the military and other security agencies. And then Fulani leaders need to talk to their people. This is not the way to go. You must back down. This country belongs to all Nigerians. We have to live in peace in this country, and for that to happen, you must behave yourselves. So in the final analysis, it's all about leadership.
Spanning borders and generations, the Fulanis have contributed immensely to trade, agriculture, and politics. Yet, in recent years, the Fulani identity has often been tangled in national security debates, ethnic tensions, and polarizing media narratives. Stereotyping an entire ethnic group not only distorts history but also undermines the possibility of national unity and social cohesion. To move forward, there must be a renewed commitment to dialogue, education, and inclusive development, one that acknowledges the rights and responsibilities of all communities, including the Fulani. Only through understanding, equity, and empathy can Nigeria harness the full potential of its diversity and rewrite the story of mistrust into one of mutual respect and peaceful coexistence. You've been watching Space.com on LN 24/7, and we've been talking about your everyday Fulani. For environmental recommendations and concerns, follow us on King's Church LN 24/7 and Space.com LN 24/7. Also, follow us on all our social media platforms. You can also send a mail, picture, or video to info2@ln247.news. Now, always remember that cleanliness is next to godliness. Therefore, be clean in thoughts, in words, and in deeds. Kimalo Angel Ologoke signing out.